Okay, so here is our logged experiment for extracting features. We have this message, we have the view, which groups by message, so it's easy to tell what features or what our experiment is supposed to be doing. So let's dive right into this experiment. Let's go to the Assets and Artifacts tab. So in the Artifacts tab, this will give us the information about what our input artifact was and what the output artifact we produced. So we can filter this, right? So two artifacts were involved in this experiment. So let's look at the direction. So let's look at the input direction. So the input direction, we had the HN dataset. So that was what was consumed by this experiment. And then in the output direction, we have HN features, which is what was produced by this experiment. We also have an idea of what version of the artifact we used to produce. So this sort of, if you were to use a different version, this version would update. So it really helps track what data and what version of data was used to generate these features. So we have like full traceback into what data was used for the model. Next, let's take a look at some of the assets. So if you recall, we profiled samples of it. So the idea with these HTML samples that have been generated from Pandas profiling is that we can investigate whether or not these samples reflect the true dataset target distribution. So if I go to Panels, let's add a panel. I can go to Feature Panels, go to HTML Asset Viewer and add that in. Don't need to wait for preview. Layout, so it's a little nicer. Okay, so now let's take a look. So we're looking at, we'll jump over to the training profile. All right, so going through the training profile, we have our title, unchanged, distinct values, text also fully distinct values. Let's take a look at the score. We'll toggle some details. Looks like the distribution is preserved, like the first quantile value is 1, median is 2, and the third quantile is 3. 95th percentile is roughly similar to what we had in our training data set, full training data set. The maximum value is different, but like you can consider the maximum value as sort of an outlier. The mean is also roughly the same. I think the mean in the training data, the full training data set is about 14.7. So mean of 15 is not too big a deviation. And looks like the summary statistics are also more or less the same. Let's jump over to our valid profile. Toggle some details on the score. Yeah, and there you have it, more or less the same. The mean is like slightly higher, but all the quantiles look roughly preserved. The maximum is also lower than the max value that was seen in the full training data set, but with these max values, they occur so infrequently that you can more or less consider them outliers. Okay, and that does it for feature engineering. Let's, now that we have these features, let's take a look at how we want to start doing our model selection and hyperparameter optimization.